NFL Honors came out with their finalists for the MVP, Coach of the Year,
Yep.
Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I'm just gonna rattle them off.
Mhm.
You guys give me one answer picks. You can
Deal.
choose to tell me why if you want to,
Deal.
or we can debate.
We'll
So
do it. Yeah, let's roll through it.
Yeah.
NFL Honors Most Valuable Player. We got Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and Justin Jefferson.
Gosh, I want to say Josh Allen so bad just because I love Josh Allen. It's Jalen Hurts.
Holden
For what?
for MVP.
MVP, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, he missed 2 games, so definitely Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes has more losses as a starter.
No, he
Threw more
there was,
touchdowns.
14 and 3.
How many did he run for? How many times? How many game-winning drives?
I hate the game-winning drive stat because to me that's a stat that if you're down, that means you had to have a game-winning drive, which frustrates me because if you're up during the whole game, you don't need a game-winning drive to win the game. So I hate
think
that
it's one
stat.
thing if you're up because you threw 5 tutters or like ran for 5 tutters. I think it's another thing if you're up and like
Look,
the defense got some scores. We had special teams, like the running back went off.
Jalen Hurts accounted for 35 touchdowns total. Patrick Mahomes accounted for 45 touchdowns total. That's 60 points. That's a huge swing. Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. He just is. 2-time MVP right there. Done.
I'll see.
I say Justin Jefferson because they were nothing without him. Anyways,
He was kind of quiet towards the end of the year, though.
I mean, yeah, but they figured him out eventually.
I don't know. I also think just like the step that Jalen Hurts made last year to now. Like, I mean, they are in the driver's seat for an NFL championship. Part of my cough. Holy cow.
Your body doesn't agree with that pick.
I'm not going to pick Patrick Mahomes, but I don't think it's anything super, super spectacular out of him. I mean, it's really good, but I think the system really helps him a lot.
But dude, you got to think like,
Dude, number one in touchdown passes from 1 to 5 yards. Number one in touchdown passes from 5 to 10 yards. He's like number 25 in touchdowns past 20 yards. He thrives off the Andy Reid system of just dump passes, just dump it. And he's really good at it, and he's really good at making decisions about it. But I think you have to argue system, and like you could argue system for Jalen Hurts, but I don't think anyone else can run that system.
You could if you're good in the system you're in, you could argue system anytime.
Not necessarily. I mean, I think you could I think Patrick Mahomes would thrive in some other systems too, just because he has fantastic arm talent. I feel that arm talent is just not showcased as much.
All right, final comments. Any more?
Nope. Aaron, who are you going with? Are you serious about Justin Jefferson?
I hope you're lying.
I mean,
because he is not the MVP.
That's
MVPs
a wild card.
MVPs just don't go to.
It's
those
a QB award.
It's a QB award.
I'll give it to Jalen Hurts. Just for the season he's having.
Let's go, Boomer Sooner.
All right. We got Coach of the Year. Nick Sirianni, Kyle Shanahan, Brian Dable, Sean McDermott, Doug Peterson.
Well, you start this time.
I mean, if you're basing it based off of like what he's had to work with, I truly do think Mike Shanahan earns the right to be Coach of the Year just based on what he's accolished playing in the NFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. Did I say Mike?
I think you did, but it's okay.
I said Mike last. I said
same
Mike
person.
Trauma.
Truly.
Kyle Shanahan. I just think he's put together just such a good season. He's just drafted well. He's put his team in a position to be successful. And when you're on your third string quarterback, I think that's really impressive. I'd honestly throw Phil Carroll in the mix, but he's not in there.
Yeah.
But I like Shanahan just because of how far he's made it with what he's had to work with at quarterback, which is the most important position in sports.
Fully agree.
Sean?
Probably wants to be biased in say Sean McDermott because I think there's a case. I think with like everything that Buffalo's gone through this year, the summer with that shooting and the players being so involved in that, literally having to move games not once but I think twice, because of weather, and unfortunately in the most recent one killed I think around 50 people, which is kind of crazy. Stuff with the DeMar or whatever, leading the team through that, and I think navigating it expertly. I think if you want a blueprint of how to handle a tragedy like that, you look to that every single time. But that being said, I'm going to piggyback Holden. I think it's on Kyle Shanahan. It's something I've said the past 2 episodes. Just reiterating what Holden said. The QB situation, you're almost about to go to the Super Bowl potentially with your third string quarterback. I don't know how much of the conversation was with trading for CMC between him and John Lynch, the GM, but I think risking for it was beautiful.
That's
and just,
good too.
They always find
Yeah.
a way to win with whoever's at running back. Debo missing time, George Kittle not really coming on until the second half of the year. I think it should be him.
Okay. I want to give an honorable mention to Brian Dable for being a first-time head coach and getting as
Yes.
far as he did,
Yeah.
doing way more with much less.
I agree.
Because that team was what, like a top 5 pick in the draft this year?
This year?
Thibodeau? Yeah, I
Oh,
think.
Yeah, I think they were
last year.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, last year.
Well,
like the past 5 years. They've been like top 10, top 5.
Yeah. Not
But-
great.
Yeah, I'd give it to Kyle Shanahan too. You know, he's just a phenomenal play caller, and honestly,
Yeah.
just you can plug any player in there, and I feel like they do well.
I think this is a harder pick than what was it, Offensive Player of the Year. I
Yeah.
really do. So
All right,
Okay.
moving on. We got Comeback Player of the Year. We got Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and Geno Smith. Sean, go ahead.
Bro, dude, I feel like this is a tough one, but I want to say Geno. Is that crazy?
That's a fan favorite.
Like, I think everyone wrote him off. I mean, setting
He didn't write back though.
He didn't, but like breaking Russell Wilson's record for I think passer rating and like yards thrown a season, like that's nuts. And like taking a team that we all thought was going to be absolute dog crap and take them to the playoffs, total resurgence by him. Like, I don't know. I feel Saquon and Christian have been in the league and they've played some seasons, but it's like we literally have not even heard from Geno Smith in years. So I'm on Geno.
Holden.
That's like spot on. I just think like it's Saquon Barkley and Chris McCaffrey. It's like two names that were drafted like top 8, right? Barkley was what was he, 5 or 6, 4?
I think it was like 2 or 3
overall.
right? Something like that.
Yeah, he was
4?
2.
Something like that.
I think he was
He
2.
was
He was
high,
2?
yeah.
All right, so he was 2. Chris McCaffrey was 8. We're talking about like 2 stud backs that like you're coming back from an injury and yeah, you did well, but like Geno, again, like he's a backup quarterback that started, played well, took his team to the playoffs, and nobody saw it coming. And I think that's just
doubled his
awesome.
team's projected win total.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously, he did. It's awesome. So
Yeah,
I think Geno.
I think Geno deserves the nod, especially from being like a certified backup
Oh yeah.
to beating out Drew Lock. Not crazy competition there, but
No.
they brought him in thinking that he would be better than Geno, and Geno kind of took the reins and made his mark. Granted, I think the emergence of Kenneth Walker really helped that team
Oh, absolutely.
alongside of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're all on Geno there. He
Yeah, for
definitely
sure.
deserves that.
Last thing on that, it's interesting how that's kind of happened where they brought in a guy like who we thought was going to kind of be an incumbent, because like it kind of almost reminds me when they got Matt Flynn back up from the Packers in free agency,
They paid
and
a
they draft
fuck
Russell.
ton for him.
They did, and I think they had someone else on there who was also, I can't remember his name, another quarterback, and it was like Russell Wilson was third on that depth chart, and he fought his way through preseason to be the starter. So it's interesting how twice that's kind of happened under.
That was after Hasselbeck, right? Like a lot
Yes.
later. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're fine. Okay.
Shows how much Seahawks stuff I know. All right, Offensive Rookie of the Year. We have Brock Purdy, Kenneth Walker III, and Garrett Wilson of the Jets. Fan favorite right now is Garrett Wilson, just having to do more for a shit team with a crappy quarterback.
Mhm.
I am a huge fan of the Brock Purdy story. I like where Mr. Irrelevant comes in and gets plugged in. But Kenneth Walker has done more for his team, I feel like, offensively. And especially,
kind of fall off second half of the year.
I mean, he got hurt. So,
Yeah, that happens.
So I mean, you run your running back into the ground for the last 7 games of the season.
Mhm.
It's bound to happen. What do you think, Sean?
I kind of want to buy into that hype of Brock Purdy as well. I mean, because that is super tough to like be Mr. Irrelevant, be third string on the depth chart, and have all that pressure of like this is a playoff team, this is a team in contention, and you have to be in the driver's seat of that offense. His numbers haven't been crazy impressive, but just the fact that he hasn't turned the ball over is just all that they're really looking for. Having seen Garrett Wilson in person, I'm going to go with him. Like, I think to me, Kenneth Walker's the easy out. I don't know why. I just don't think he's the big name right now.
Okay. Holden?
Yeah, I think Brock Purdy, probably because he's a quarterback, is going to get like a lot of looks. Man only started 5 games, threw 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, about 1,300 yards, and had a nice 107 passer rating. So he did play well, but I think the sample size was too small. And I think Garrett Wilson was healthy. He was there. sometimes like availability is the best ability. And
Damn
he
straight.
had 1,100 yards, only 4 TDs, which isn't great, but I think that's also kind of attributed to a lot of different quarterback play. He had Flacco, he had Mike White, he had Zach Wilson, he had so many guys he was thrown to, and he still put up 1,100 yards, which is, and like what, 83 receptions? That's a ton of receptions for a rookie. I mean, Terry McLaurin had 77 receptions, and we're talking about Terry McLaurin. So
Yeah.
I think Garrett Wilson deserves this based on everything he's done. I think Kenneth Walker had a great season too, but again, great coach, high quarterback play, so that helps a lot too. So
Yeah.
and a stud with DK. So I mean, a lot of that takes off pressure of the running back too. So yeah,
True.
going Garrett Wilson on this one.
I agree with you guys. I think I'm going to go Garrett Wilson just because of sheer, like, yeah, he had to play with real bad quarterbacks and, like, was still able to put up pretty decent numbers for a rookie. So,
Great numbers.
yeah.
Absolutely. Lots coming from that kid.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Especially you better be scared, Mr. Bills, man. You got to play him twice a year, every year.
Man, we'll figure him out. As long as they don't have a QB who can, like, really throw him the ball, like, I'm not too worried.
True. All right, moving on to Defensive Rookie of the Year. We got Sauce Gardner, Aiden Hutchinson, and Tariq Woolen.
Who's that?
Holden, start us off.
It's Sauce Gardner. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, Sauce Gardner did not allow a touchdown all season to a lot of great wide receivers that he played. I mean, was an all-pro his first year in the league. It's hard to find typically defensive ends or linebackers will win this award. It is so hard to not take a defensive end in this position. But Sauce Gardner just had an incredible year. Aiden Hutchinson had a great year too. 9.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, something like that.
4 interceptions.
Great year.
Yeah, it was
4 interceptions. 3 was it 3 interceptions? 3 interceptions.
It might have been 3. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Great season, but when you have a cornerback that played at his level, you have to take Sauce Gardner. And the other dude, who's that?
Especially playing on an
I know he had
island.
Tariq
I know he had a
Woolen,
good.
Yeah. He had a pretty good rookie season. Sean, what about you?
A lot of missed PI calls on Sauce Gardner, if you ask me. That may be a partially biased take, but that being said, I'm on Sauce Gardner. Like, I think he kind of did live to the hype. I think beating Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau, like, I think that was really tough for like a not great New York Jets team. Yeah, so the kid seems like a stud. We'll see if he keeps getting away with being a little too handsy. But yeah, Agent Hudson was good, but I think Sauce Gardner was more valuable.
Yeah, I also am on Sauce Gardner. Is he the next coming of Darrelle Revis? Sauce Island? I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe.
All right, and moving on to Offensive Player of the Year. We got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, or Justin Jefferson. I'm going to chime in here. I think if either Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes wins, or if Jalen Hurts wins MVP, I think Patrick Mahomes getting Offensive Player of the Year.
That makes sense.
I think it's actually pretty close between Patrick Mahomes and Justin Jefferson because, again, Justin Jefferson was the literal catalyst to that Vikings offense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Thielen was really anywhere to be found all season.
Yeah, he had a rough year.
Yeah. Holden, what do you think?
This is a tough one, too, because, like, typically, you would say, okay, so if Jalen wins the MVP, then Patrick Mahomes gets the Offensive Player of the Year and vice versa.
Right.
I think this is a position where you're looking at an offensive player that was a huge part of the team. And I think I don't love when you take a quarterback in this position because I think this is deserving of a wide
Skill
receiver
player,
or a running back, a skill player, which is why I do like Justin Jefferson in this spot. 1,800 yards, great year, only 8 touchdowns, which I wish if he had like 14 to 10, double digits, I think I would like him more in this spot. But he did lead the league in receptions, led the league in receiving, and he had 8 TDs. And you can say that there were games. Sorry, Sean, but like, the game where he caught that pass against the Bills, like there were games where he was the reason, not Kirk. He was the reason they won those games because of a 4th and whatever. Yeah. So I want to give it to Justin Jefferson. I hate to say it. I do think Patrick Mahomes will win the MVP. So I feel like they'll give it to Jalen Hurts, but I hope it's Justin Jefferson because I think he deserves that nod.
All right, Sean.
For me, I think it's definitely a tie between Jalen Hurts and Justin Jefferson. I'm with you. I think Justin Jefferson had a phenomenal year as a wide receiver. Was it breaking Randy Moss's record or whoever
Yep.
for most receiving yards in the first 2 years? That's just nuts. I mean, they won a ton of games because of him. He definitely is Kirk's go-to guy. When the Vikings, I mean, the past 7 years have been very fortunate with having Thielen, and then when they had Diggs, they didn't utilize them that much, but. I mean, that being said, I think Jalen Hurts kind of gets the nod too because he's a dual threat. He does it with his arm, he does it with his legs. I do like the rationale. If he does not get MVP, then he does get this. Definitely like Tyreek Hill because that dude's a piece of crap, but whatever.
Good enough for me. And last but not least, we have Defensive Player of the Year. We have
Easy.
Micah Parsons, we have Chris Jones, and we have Nick Bosa. Sean, it's easy. Tell me how. Tell me who it is.
It's Nick Bosa. I feel it's got to be. I mean, I haven't heard a thing about Chris Jones all year. I mean, maybe I've been sleeping under a rock, but I mean,
You have.
He's got a lot of tackle for losses.
I mean, he's a very good defensive
He's
tackle.
got 15
Pressures,
and a half sacks. He's up there.
But it's Bosa. It's Nick Bosa all day. I think maybe the first 6 weeks of the season it was Micah Parsons, but I think Nick Bosa just grinded it out, being consistent as all get out, being a stud, especially here in these yachts. So yeah, I'm all on Nick.
All right, hold.
Yeah, Nick Bosa. Typically, this award will go to the highest sack total. Typically, not all the time, but 18 and a half sacks. That's a sack per game. That's insane.
Yeah.
And I just think Nick Bosa has consistently been the better player. I had a futures bet on Micah Parsons to lead the NFL in sacks.
Same.
He was there for quite some time, and he fell off second half of the season. If you look at really December, right around the beginning of December, it kind of just fell off. Still pressure was there, still an effective player, but the statistics weren't there.
Right.
And I hate to say it, a lot of these awards are based on statistics. They're looking at what's your sack total, what's your interception total, what's your this, what's your and
Fumbles.
like 18 and a half sacks is huge, and the fact that they're still playing also has a lot to do with this stuff too. And I believe in that. I think a lot of the teams that are playing right now are how they decide these awards too, because aside from the rookie stuff, MVPs, offensive player of the years, and like coaches, all that stuff is like the teams that are still playing, there's a reason for it, and it's because
I mean,
they deserve it. So
just consistent production.